Blades Ramble are proudly supported by our main channel sponsor, My Business Group, a group of brands designed to support owners, leaders and managers in business. If you're looking to grow your business, contact mybusinessgroup.co.uk today for more information or follow the link in the description below. And as this is hot off the presser, we're proudly sponsored by High Point Access Limited, your number one-stop shop for all your working at heights and roofing needs. If you mention the Ramble when you're asking for a quote, you'll receive 10% off any works. Find their details in all the links below. Thank you to High Point Access Limited for your continued support of the Blades Ramble.
Blades fans, subscribe to Blades Ramble. Up the Blades.
To the Blades Ramble. I am, of course, Jimmy, and this is hot off the presser or cold off the presser, like some are joking in the comments because I'm a little bit later than usual. Look, I'm going to cards on the table. As you know, I've explained this. I've started doing like an AI transcript instead of furiously taking notes throughout the presser. Well, that's all well and good if you trust the transcript thing that you're doing, and it's worked the last couple of times. It seems all right. It also needs double checking to make sure it's not telling me about John Egan playing at centre half for us and Ollie Norwood in centre midfield. So it does take me a touch longer, even though it's not as much work, if that makes any sense at all. So I do apologise. We are lukewarm off the presser. But yeah, Chris Wilder has been speaking ahead of the trip to Deepdale tomorrow night, which, of course, we will be covering here on the Blades Ramble, myself and Jord Motson. The man on the mic. We'll see you here from about 7:15, I think we're going to go from, if that's all right with Geordie. You'll also be pleased to know that I was scrambling in the background. As soon as I pressed go live on the on the stream, I suddenly panicked and thought I hadn't checked my microphone. It wasn't plugged in. So, so the Ramble will never change, unfortunately, in some regards. So, let's get to the press conference then and see what our leader said today. Adam Oxley started us off from Radio Sheffield. It always tends to go that way. Adam Oxley from the broadcast press, would you say? Radio Sheffield always get first dibs, whether it's Adam, Andy or Rob. Danny Hall, when he's not on holiday. Danny Hall's the written press. So Danny gets second dibs, and there were a third reporter come in today, which sometimes happens. It wasn't Logan, though, before any of you ask. So Adam starts us off. Chris, was that a bit more like it second half in terms of what you want to see from your team? He says, yeah, I think so. You know, the majority of games in this division are like that. We did all our analysis on the opposition, and I said afterwards, they should have got a result at Coventry, who are absolutely flying at the moment, blistering form. I still don't know how that game against Ipswich got postponed when they're 1-0 up. I'd have done exactly the same as Ishmael. They're 83, 84 minutes in, 1 up, down to 10 men. We've seen this season some really unpredictable results. So it's always going to be a difficult game to play. Conditions weren't great. The pitch wasn't in a fabulous condition, so it's always going to be a bit of a grind. Just disappointed to go in at half-time 1 down because I thought we were dominating our performance. Just needed to smooth our attacks out a little bit more. This is my opinion, I thought Blackburn were the better side first half. I thought we started better, and I thought they came on to us and were the better side at the end of the first. I thought we were poor first half. That's just my opinion. Wilder continues, but in terms of the process, how we played and tried to get the ball up the pitch, it was good. Then we got undone with one ball down the side, a great ball. The lads got a bit fortunate to skew it across the face of goal, and it falls to them, and we're 1-0 down. But that's the test, isn't it? There's a test at the start of the game to build on what we did Saturday against Watford. Outstanding performance and result. And then there's the test again at half-time. As I said afterwards, I'm still learning about this group. It was put together quickly. Myself and Javi Garcia, the only two managers who've taken new jobs this season. Sean Dyche said it this week, 9 times out of 10 you get a job because of previous disappointments. So we're working away. We'd love to have had a pre-season like everyone else has had to play put our messages through from a mentality point of view and from a tactical point of view too. The boys are still learning about me and how I want to go about it. I'm learning about them. But what's really pleased me, Adam, was their attitude. Second half, they upped it. Levels weren't bad first half, but they raised them. We went after the game and was delighted with the 3 goals, the intensity, the performance, and most importantly, the result. Adam then says, Harrison Burrows then, is he a bit of a case study in that scenario? Someone who's maybe lacked confidence before you took him out of the first team for a few games. He's now come back in and shown what we can all deliver. There were a good line where, I haven't recorded it here, but there were a good line where he said, he even said so in the post-match that he agreed with your decision to take him out of the side. He said, well, it would have been an interesting conversation if he hadn't have agreed with what I said to him. But yeah, he has. But he wasn't the only one. I don't think any of the players can stick their hand up and say they came through those first 6 games, saying they've done all right. So it was a big group he was a part of in terms of a disappointing performance. We had to make decisions, and it was for his benefit too. He's a talented player. Second season in the division. He was outstanding last year, pushed all the way by Sammy. Sammy deserved his chance, and his performances against Watford on Tuesday night were excellent. We just felt we needed a bit more energy down that side. But yeah, for the Coopers, the Burrows, and others, some have to come out of the team, take Cooper out of the team, regain the form, confidence, belief. I'm seeing signs. Campbell, for example, Aware, Burrows, and City Peg, as AI's put down for me here. I'm assuming it's City Peg. Good signs that they're getting back to the form they showed last season. I'm delighted for H. That's the standard he should be playing at. We all know on the ball he's got real quality, still learning his trade, another young player in his second championship season. And Adam says, we're going to mention Callum actually. 5 goal contributions now, goals and assists. People have talked about him needing to add numbers to his game, and it looks like he's starting to do that. He says, yeah, exactly. We know what he gives us out of possession, the work ethic and mobility. But I've been asking the same questions of him and of all our forward players as well. It's no good running around with nothing at the end of it. There has to be contributions, goals and assists. Adding to that is the key for us, because ultimately that decides the games. We've got to create and score. Our metrics have gone up defensively and in possession. I just reviewed them this morning and we're in the top 10 for both. But the key now is for everyone, not just Callum, but Tyrese and others, to keep nudging those numbers up. Stats don't tell you everything. There's luck, refereeing, goalkeeping, but you keep improving those metrics and you give yourself a better chance of winning. Adam then shifts to a really interesting topic, because we know so far this season Wilder hasn't stepped backwards with coming forwards. He has. He's been quite forthright when he's even mentioning individuals, and he got put on spot here by Adam a little bit and didn't shy away from it. He said, you gave Tom Cannon a start in the week. There's been criticism from fans about his performance levels. What does he need to do to kickstart things again here? Well done, Adam, by the way. I don't think reporters often get enough credit for some of these have got a good relationship with Wilder. We know he's a spiky character. Danny's the same. He's got a good relationship with Wilder. What they've got to do is keep him on side, because they don't want walls up from him every time. We've seen him go off on reporters that he don't like and things like that. But they're respectfully asking him the difficult questions that they need to ask him. So this one about Tom Cannon's underperformance. He says, yeah, it's been difficult for him. He came in January, 3/4 of the championship wanted him, Sunderland particularly, and we pushed it through. The owner's recruitment staff, myself, saw him as an asset. It were interesting that he very much made it known it was a group decision and not an individual decision from him. I picked up on that. He hasn't hit his heights yet, but he's working hard. He came in, got injured pretty early after a good contribution at Derby. Then Tyrese took over. We had good options at the top of the pitch, and he struggled to force his way in, but he wants it, and we all want it for him. He has to take his chances, whether that's off the bench or starting. We need competition up top. It's a big boys game. I'll pick players when the time's right. I thought Tuesday was the right time to give him a run, and now he's got to keep working and take his next opportunity. He hasn't done it so far, but we do still believe in him. He says, do you still believe he can be a success here long term? He says, yeah, he's still young, and everyone wants instant impact. I think we're past that now. It's not about 15 games at the back end of last season. He knows he's made it tough for himself, and there's pressure on him, but we're not judging him on that small sample. He came here to push us towards the Premier League, which he did contribute to. It was hard to break in with Tyrese, Rian and Callum all around him, but it only takes a run of games, a bit of form to get back to what had 3/4 of the league chasing him. So yeah, we keep the faith with him. We're working with him. He understands the criticism and accepts it. Time out. I think he's gone in January, to be honest. I think that was probably his last chance. It's just my opinion, but it sounds like he's already in last chance saloon, and he didn't perform, did he? Like Wilder says, and I believe him when he says everybody's still got the chance to change his mind, but I think he'll now have very limited minutes, and I think he'll have to come up with something to stay in the red and white right until the end of the season. In terms of fitness then, is there a chance Tom Davies could be involved at Preston? He says, yeah, definitely. That's great news. I've been delighted with him over the last couple of games. I also want to... It was a shame we couldn't get Tom back involved after Southampton because we saw what he gave us. I'm delighted with Gyro's contribution too. We're looking to get him more involved if we can. He said Ollie Arblaster could be available for Sheffield Wednesday. He's going through like a mini pre-season, so that department's looking healthier now. Much more competition. We've all seen glimpses of Tom Davies in a Sheffield United shirt, especially during that Southampton game. He was excellent for 60 minutes, and we were disappointed he couldn't build on that. But that's football. It's getting back now with the experience we needed, along with lads like Ben Mee, Danny Ings, Jaffet Tanganga. It's good for the group. Any update on Gus Hamer's timescale? Is it just me, or as much as I love Wilder and a lot of Blades love Chris Wilder, do you not believe half of what he says? Because I think he's doing it for the right reasons. But any update on Gus Hamer's timescale? It won't make the weekend, but we'll see about next week. You're wearing a knee brace. It's another 3-game week before the international break. He's tough as Gus. He doesn't miss many sessions or games. Hopefully, it's better than first feared. It looked bad at first in walking around in a brace, but he's out of that now and working away. He's a really important player, but I think everyone's seen from the last 2 games that we're not a one-man team. We've picked up results without arguably our best player, the championship player of the season last season, so credit to the lads who've stepped up. Adam then asked about what's the situation around Ryan One. How's he doing? He says, well, he's been ill the last couple of weeks, but he's back with us now, as is Danny. We've had Tom Cannon off the bench recently too. I've got cover for all scenarios. That's important because physically we're still catching up. Players have come in late, so minutes and substitutions are vital. We need that depth to cover the likes of Ben Mee, Jaffet Tanganga, McGuinness and Cheo, and we're definitely having to make physical substitutions at this stage of the season, which isn't ideal, but necessary. He says he's looking forward to the reunion with Paul Eckingbottom on Friday night. Preston's another good test. He says, yeah, always. It's similar test to Blackburn, another tough away day. We handled the last 2 well, and we want to handle this one the same way. I know Paul well, lots of admiration and respect for him. People might not realise it was me who brought him to the club. I'm sure a lot of people do, but not everybody will. He's a good character if he understands the culture and the values of this place. What do you make of the job he's done at Preston then? And Wilder says he's done well. He had a tough end to last season, but he'd started well again, and it just shows if you give people time, you get consistency. There are ups and downs in football, but they started on the front foot, got into a good position, lost the last 2, so they'll want to stop that run and will want to make it 3 wins on the bounce. They've got a good squad, a mix of strong loans and experienced championship players, always the same at Preston, so it's a proper test, home or away. And I think it was Danny Hall that came on to say, you mentioned earlier you're still learning about the group. Do you feel like you're starting to see your fingerprints on it now? And Chris says, yeah, I think so. It takes time. Anyone who's been around football knows that. You can't just flick a switch and expect it to look exactly how you want it straight away. We've had to adjust new staff, new players, new routines. There's been a lot of change since I came back, and that doesn't settle overnight. But you can start to see things, the way we want to press, how we build, the mentality to go after games. That second half Tuesday, that's closer to it. The aggression, the front foot play, the connection between the team and the fans, that's what this club's built on. We've still got a way to go, but the signs are there. Danny says, you spoke about the mentality. It looked like the players really took responsibility in that second half, especially the senior ones. He says, yeah, exactly. I've said it from day one. I want players who take ownership. You can have all the tactical plans in the world, but when the whistle goes, it's about leadership on the pitch, communication, standards and decision-making. We've got characters here, Ben Mee, Jaff, Coops, McGuinness, proper professionals. They don't hide when things go wrong. They're the ones driving it from the inside. And that's what we need, because you can't certainly rely on them. You can't rely on the manager shouting from the sideline every 5 seconds. The best teams have leaders all over the pitch. I think we're growing into that. That's something that we mentioned so often, and not just here, but when I'm talking to other fans about it. It's so obvious that we were lacking leaders. And I don't think we're anywhere near the finished article yet. But you can see a little bit of resilience building in the group now, can't you? Danny says there's been a lot of talk about discipline and standards since you came back. How close were you? How close are you to where you want to be in that regard? He says we're getting there. We're not perfect yet, but it's better. When I came in, I said to the players, we can't talk about performances and results until we sort the basics: timekeeping, training habits, recovery, preparation. That's the foundation of everything. If you get that wrong, the football side falls apart. The lads have responded well. It's a good group. They want to do the right things. We still have slip-ups. You always do, but the culture's shifting back to what this club was built on: hard work, honesty, and accountability. I can feel it around the training ground again. How good does it feel just to be talking about that? That is, it's everything, isn't it, to Sheffield United, that. You touched on it earlier, but what's the next step in terms of performance? What do you still want to see more of? He says consistency. We've shown flashes. Watford, second half on Tuesday, parts of the Southampton game, but we've got to do that over 90 minutes. And then game after game. That's what separates mid-table from top six and top six from automatic. You can't just have moments. You need a level. We've also got to be more ruthless. We're creating chances, but we've got to put teams away earlier. Defensively, the structure's improving, but even there, one lapse, one switch off, and you get punished at this level. So yeah, consistency, ruthlessness, and keeping that edge. Exactly what we all see. You mentioned the fans after the game on Tuesday. You seemed emotional about that connection returning. He says, yeah, I was, because this club's nothing without that connection. I've said it before, we don't have parachute payments, we don't have superstars, but when the players and fans are together, it's powerful. You could feel it second half. The energy, the noise, the belief, it drives the players on, and they appreciate it, they feed off it. That's what we had when we were successful before. It just threw me that parachute payment line, but that's what we had when we were successful before, and that's what we're trying to rebuild now. It's not just about winning games, it's about belonging, representing the badge properly. And finally, a word on the atmosphere in the dressing room, says Danny. What was it like after those back-to-back wins? He says it's good, but it's grounded. They're enjoying it, of course, but they know how quickly this league can change. I don't need to remind them. They've lived it. You win 2 and you're looking up the table. You lose 2, you're looking down. So yeah, the mood's positive but focused. They know there's still a lot of work to do. We've got a tough run now, Preston, then a couple more before the break. So we just keep pushing. We'll keep demanding high standards every day. If we do that, the results will follow. And that was Danny's end of the portion. And the third report that just came in, it didn't quite catch everything, but I do know that they asked him quite a nice question about, you've worked in both the north and the south. Do you feel like the northern sort of grit gives you an edge, particularly at this club, and a bit sort of like know-how? I think you were getting at that sort of vibe. And he says, well, yeah, I do in a way, but also he says I always think the best manager to ever manage our club was Harry Bassett, and he came from down south, and he brought a lot of London boys up with him, and they've written the name into Sheffield United history. So he says there's a bit of that, but there's also you can get that passion from anywhere. So I thought that were a lovely way to end, talking about Harry Bassett, and yeah, what do you guys think to his presser? I love the fact that it's quite workmanlike. He's clearly in a bit more of an uplifted mood, which is always going to happen, but it's very much full focus, and not sort of it doesn't feel like we're taking anything for granted. It feels like we're all switched on and we know what we need to do. So I'm going to jump into your comments now and see what you guys think of it. Terry starts us off saying, we lost our family cat. Oh, sorry, mate, due to a blood clot. And the Blades result in your enthusiasm have lifted my spirits, Jimmy. Let's hope for another. Thank you, mate. I'm so sorry to hear that. It's awful, isn't it? Them sort of circumstances. Thoughts for you and the family. He says, let's hope for another positive result tomorrow. Up the Blades, up the Ramble, like and subscribe. Thank you, mate. Pete says, hi, Jimmy. Just a rewind. Burrow's goal was going wide until it deflected off the end. But was it going wide? I haven't watched it back enough, really. Well, wow, how our luck has changed. Yeah, I suppose, Pete. I suppose we were talking about making your own luck, weren't we, by doing the right things? Up the Ramble and up the Blades. Did you see Ben Mee coming off the pitch in the tunnel, looked straight down the camera, smiling and said, I'm knackered. Well played. Yeah. Michelle, thank you for becoming a member. It's very much appreciated. Thank you to everyone that supports us. We're not far away now looking at these numbers, are we? Not far away from the big 10K. It's very exciting. I'm going to have to get some work done towards some sort of special show for that, aren't I? There's things in the pipeline, so hopefully if we get there, we'll do something pretty good. Afternoon, mate, says Lewis. Afternoon, pal. Wonder how much of assessing Gus after the weekend is to throw the next manager off. He was wearing a boot when we last saw him. Hope he's back sooner. Positive message from CW. To the players about levels and trying to build up their confidence. Great man manager. So glad he's back. No one better to lead our club. Good news on Tom Davis as well. Up the ramble, up the blades. Remember to like and subscribe. See you for 90 after 90 tomorrow. Up the 5 positive blades. Nice one, pal. Yes, I'm not sure on Gus's timescales. I'm not sure I believe him, if I'm honest. I'll still be surprised to see Tom Davis back as soon as that. If he makes the bench, fair enough, but I'll be surprised. I'll be surprised, but look, it's a testament to the club that things aren't getting out anywhere near as much as they used to do, are they? So, Dave Morwood says, afternoon, Jimmy. Gotta love the gaffer. Goes back soon. A little wilder misdirection, methinks. Me too, pal. We're on the same page. Up all the rambles. Like and subscribe. Up the positive blades. Brand says, crikey, it'll be cold off the press of this, Jimmy. Surely you'd rather I came and got most of it right. I'm not saying I'll ever get it all right, but most of it right than just be a complete shambles. Mark Meldrew says, afternoon, Jimmy. Wilder seemed to have focus and drive after a couple of good results. Another one on speaking my language. Fingers crossed for a third in a week tomorrow night. Tough one, I'd take a point, but I don't mind being greedy either. Up the blades, up the ramble, up the negative Meldrew, up the negative 2. I'm not sure I'm into that. Jimmy says, Jimmy's on the school run because ATB's bull riding in Texas. Yeah. Do you think Andy the Blade does school run for me? He's never in the country for a start. So no, I've had to send Mrs. Ramble on school run, and I'll have to get it back because it's my turn to do it. And he decided to have a press conference bang in middle when school run's going to be. So I'll probably be in doghouse. She's had to come away from work to do school run, but listen, Ramble's calling, isn't it? Take a point tomorrow, depending on how things go. More confident we can win games now, though. Up the blades, up the Ramble. I'm not taking a point tomorrow. I think we can go there and do them, and I'll be absolutely buzzing if we do. Anglo-Saxon says, thank God for the Ramble content after shift is dross, but this has made it so much easier. Thank you, mate. Thank you. I'm sorry that your after shift is dross, but thank you for joining us. Brett says, are we seeing a bit more reserved and calmer Wilder during media interviews? After seeing up close during the match, he's definitely not during game time. I was waiting to get hit by a stray football. Yes, he very much lives and breathes the games, doesn't he, Brett? But I think I like his headspace at the minute, or certainly what he's projecting. I like it. It feels controlled. It feels like he is a little bit more settled with what's happening at the club. Feels like he's got a plan. Feels like he knows what he wants out of the group. It's really, I'm enjoying it at the moment. Big T says 2-0 Blades tomorrow, 3 from 3. And it'll be 3 from 3 for your Ramble on the roads, won't it, pal? Looking forward to that one as well. Ray says, afternoon all, looking forward to tomorrow. Can we win? Yes, we can. 1-2 win for the Wizards. Up all the Rambles, up the blades, like and subscribe. Thank you, Raymondo. Jack says, I thought first half we didn't really get going. Looked a bit too slow, but second half was all us. It was a test and we passed it. Hardest test to overcome so far. I'm going 2-1. Come on, Blades. I think it's hard for Cannon, as yes, he can do more, but we don't help him by not playing to their strengths. I think that's fair. James says he'll take a 1-1 tomorrow, then beat Derby. Matthew just says, up the Blades, Ramble. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Raymondo says, Cannon can only play in 2 up top. It's better if they give him some service. Need him in the box as well to see a better Cannon. I can see him going. I'd not be surprised, and I can see him going in January. Yeah, I can too, Ray. I think he's gone. Unless he really starts to make an impact from the bench, because I don't think he'll get another start unless we're struggling for fitness. Filey Blade says Brooks was in a foot brace a few weeks ago, so hopefully Henry's the same precaution. Yeah, that's a fair point, actually. Brooks was only about 2-3 weeks ago was in a brace, so that's fair. SLB123 says I'll try and recoup as much as we can for Cannon in January and get it reinvested in the squad rather than loaning him out. Can't recall us having much success in sending players out on loan, then seeing the best of them in the red and white. I would slightly disagree. I know what you're saying, SLB. What I don't think will happen is Cannon will go out on loan and then come back to Sheffield United a better player. I think what will happen is Cannon will go out on loan to build his value again. If we sold him now, what are we going to get for him? £1 million we'll be lucky, I think. I think he'll go out on loan, try and get minutes. If he goes to like a Preston, who we're allegedly interested on deadline day, if he goes to Preston, gets some minutes and can find some form, then he builds his own value, doesn't he? And I don't think that'll be to return to Sheffield United. I think that'll be to do your original plan and cash in on him in the summer. Danny says, I might be missing something, but haven't we been missing him? But we haven't been missing Hamer these past 2 games, have we? I know he's different gravy when he's on form, but not for me. O'Hare has been great. It's had the effect that we were all hoping it would have. In such poor circumstances to lose your best player, you hope the others will step up and be countered. And so far, so good in it, Danny. Yeah, I agree with that. Harry was the best, says James. I respectfully disagree, but I didn't really live through the majority of Bassett's days. So I'm going with Chrissy, but it's only because I'm a young pup. Hamer is injured and other stuff, says Andrew up the blades. Alessandro says, the idea of 7 from 9 after our start is amazing, but continuing this momentum and possibly being 9 from 9 is Chris Wilder magic. I still believe once Cannon gets 1 goal, it's a floodgates moment. Hope you're right. Not so sure. Paul says, hi Jimmy Pal, I'll go for a 1-0 win because Tough Day is a 1-0 specialist and I'll predict Tom Cannon scores the winner. Matey, up the blades, up the ramble. Again, I hope you're right. Tom says, love Wilder's energy in this presser. Exactly what this club is about. Focus, commitment and hard work. Up the blades, up the ramble. Me too. I'm interested to know if we've, other than the ones that we know, or that just do it for a reaction, surely people are back on board with Wilder. I know the majority of us were anyway, but back on board with Wilder. There's been a lot of people in our comments previously saying, I wasn't so sure about him returning, but now, after the effect he's had, I can see why, and I'm pleased that it's starting to turn. There can't be many of those, why the hell have we gone back to Wilder? Because it's a definite improvement. Yes, I have made a live chat, says Chris. Loving the ramble, as always. Thank you, mate. Loving having you here. Danny says, 10k just a stone's throw away. Well done, Jimbo. Thanks for the entertainment and providing a light when the darkness begins to creep in. Thank you, mate. It's a really nice thing to say. Quite touched by that. Keep it up, pal. Up the blades, up the ramble. Like and subscribe. 3 points Friday, folks. I don't want to build myself up so that I'm disappointed if we get a point, because that is being greedy. But I'm feeling greedy at the minute. I feel like we can go. It's not like we're going to Middlesbrough or we're going to Coventry or we're going to Ipswich or Southampton even. I feel like we can go to Preston and do enough. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to Preston, but they've just lost the last 2. We've won our last 2. Come on, United. Anything on Sariki? Yes, sorry, you did mention Sariki. Not been on the bench last couple of games, up the ramble. That didn't get caught by the AI either. But Sariki is a team selection thing. Needs to work harder. And it's, he's saying Shackleton came on and played well in that position. It's a out of favour situation, which is surprising, really. I'd love to have had him as an option for Ogbenny, because I think he's, but we're not playing a 3, are we? We're not playing a 3-5 or a 3-4-1-2 or anything like that. We're playing a 4 at the back. So he sees Shackleton as more of a right back than Sariki, which, that's, whether you do or you don't. Certainly if you were playing a 3 and Ogbenny is your wing back, then you'd have Sariki as the alternative rather than Shackleton. But, it's, who am I to question the Messiah? Paul says, you provide a light when things weren't going right. The S2, you smile and we win, mate. Thank you, mate. Better late than never, you Blades. Show makes my day, Jimmy Pal. Remember, a Blades win, buddy. Yeah, thank you, mate. Jack says, I'm going solo for the Derby game, so see you in Triple Point on Saturday. Yes, mate, you will. You certainly will. And Selena Bar will be going there as well, pre-match. Romeo says, need to keep it going, not let it be a bad game. Let's hope Wilder can make the right choice. It's all gravy, Romeo. It's all gravy. Losing Hamer has stepped up our players. No more passing to him and expecting a miracle. I don't think it's as obvious as that, Jack, but there is certainly a subconscious to that, I think. Gus isn't here. He can't dig us out of a hole. We have to step our game up. Joe says, afternoon, Jim. Another presser from Lord Wilder making us all feel 10 feet tall again. If Tom Cannon, gets loaned out in January, I want to see him at a team who plays 2 up top to see how he gets on in a pair. Up the Blades, up the Ramble. Well, that thing is, though, Joe, I understand it and I agree. But all that will do is go, told you, we were right, Wilder were wrong, even if Sheffield United are doing really well. I want him to go to another team, and whether he's 1 up top or 2 up top, I want him to put some value back into his name. I want him to become a hot property and a hot commodity that will likely either, and this is the slimmer chance of the two, come back and be a success at Sheffield United, or we sell him for more money than we anticipated we were going to do. So, if he's a success in a 2, it doesn't necessarily make a difference to us, because it's unlikely that he'll return to us and play in a 2 at the moment, the way things are going. So I know what you're saying. You're absolutely right, because I think it will prove a lot to a lot of people that if he's a success as a 2, a lot of us will call him for this anyway. But being right isn't always the be-all, end-all, is it, I suppose? Jack says, wonder how much money we've lost on these signings. Our recruitment needs to step up. Yeah, I think it will change now, pal. I'm expecting big, smart changes in January, if I'm honest. Brand says Hamer absolutely has to earn his shirt back, in my opinion. Would be unfair for him to walk straight back in. Has to prove himself off the bench. He's been incredibly poor by his standards so far. They all have. I agree. I think if Hamer was available for Preston, and say we'd had a couple more days, so rotation wasn't really in the conversation, you're not taking Callum O'Hare out of the side, are you? You might put him on the left. You might put him on the left-hand side. But I think he has to earn his way back in. I think that's fair. Lee says, I just think with Cannon, he's more of a fox in the box, but isn't getting the delivery. I agree with that. Again, I do think he's been scapegoated to a degree. But just going off how Wilder was here, it was quite, not cutting, but it was just direct about, he's under pressure to do well now. Statman Jack, evening from Corfu, mate. Absolutely class, mate. Hope you're having a good time. Going for dinner soon, so we'll catch up later on what I missed from the presser, up the Blades, up the Ramble. Top man. Paul says, you light up my day. This Blades show is amazing. We talk about winning, and now it happens. You're a Blades god. Paul, you're embarrassing me. I can't read too many of those comments out, but thank you. That's very kind of you. The possibility of 9 points in 6 days would have seemed mental 7 days. Yeah, it would. Some of us may have taken 5. If we'd have offered you 5 points, a win at home and 2 away points, then we may have taken that, might we? Because of the situation we're in. And we sit here on 6 with another potential 3 to come. Potential 3. It's been a brilliant turnaround in terms of results. And I even think the performances have lifted as well. Shaq Silver, Femi is mad, says Jack. He's a big Shackleton fan, isn't he? I've not seen it out of Shackleton. But there are holes in Femi's game, so I'll reserve judgment for now. Joe says, on a side note, loving seeing Callum O'Hare thrive without Gus. Me too. Was gutted about how we would go on if we lost him, but seeing Callum O'Hare step up the last few games makes me feel a little bit more calm if we did lose Gus. I think that will play into, if Gus goes in January, which there's a chance he will, there's a chance he won't. But if Gus goes in January, then I don't think fans will be anywhere near as up in arms as they would have been had that happened in the summer. Jimmy says, Wilder was the right return given the serious mess things put us in. We quickly lost all Wilder had built, including the disconnection of fans. Good to see some things have been quickly restored. Yeah, I agree. Samari's the new star boy, says Paul. Sariki's a winger all day long, says Lee. You're not the only one to suggest that. I think that's a fair shout. Jake says, finally managed to catch you live, Jimmy. Live on the internet. Callum O'Hare has been immense. How is Wilder going tonight, or going to fit everyone in the team when Arblaster and Hamer are fit again? It's a great problem to have. Yeah, it is a great problem to have. I agree. Yes, you've just corrected your message, haven't you, I think. Tom says, I still think the reason Tom Cannon has done well at Stoke, for instance, is because they are a more direct, long ball team. We just don't play to his strengths, but I don't think he plays our style. It's amazing how many strikers come to our team, Rhian Brewster being another, that we just cannot get a tune out of in terms of consistent goals, having got goals elsewhere. Matty says, I love that Wilder's at the wheel again. If for no other reason than it's amazing with little to no money. So when we have no more parachute payments, we'll be better off than most with Wilder at the helm. Rob says, for negatives, Wilder speaks as if he never met these players before. For positives, he takes all the credit. I think there is a bit of that. I think I'm not blind to Wilderisms, if you like, but while he's doing the business, I'm allowing it. I'm in my tolerance, my own personal individual tolerance. If we'd have been losing, if we'd not have turned it around and we'd lost these last two, and he's throwing players under the bus, then you have to start saying, no, you need to look at yourself. But he is guiding them to results. Brand says, not bothered if you're ever late again, Jimmy lad. You're doing a sterling job either way, pal. Up the ramble. Thank you, mate. Joe says, I agree with you, Jack, about Gus and replacing him. Was gutted in the summer when I thought he was off. Illiman was impossible to replace. Gus isn't. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, right. I'm going to call it there. Thank you to everybody for joining us. These aren't the longest of streams, which I think some will be very happy about. But you're not done with me yet, because we're back on tonight. If you want another Ramble fix, we're over on Ramble FC. Myself and Lee are talking through the heroes of the EFL, and we've got some really good names lined up for you. I'm really enjoying that show so far. I'm going to be introducing Lee with his brand new intro song, which I am very, very proud of. So if nothing else, get yourself over there for that. And then you'll see us back here tomorrow. Myself and Jordan Motson, the man on the mic, for the watch-along of Preston North End hosting Sheffield United. And hopefully we can make it 9 from 9. Incredible. But for now, come on, you red and white wizards. All the blades!